What's up, 49er fans? I'm Jason Aponte. That is Dieter Kurtenbach. This is Dieter and Jason, and we've got some breaking news with Kyle Shanahan and what he just spoke about. And obviously, the big news is about Brock Purdy. But first, before any of that, Dieter, what's up, man? How are you, bro?
I am not on the injury report, so I'm doing a lot better than it seems like most of the 49ers players right now. We'll see where we're at on Sunday, though.
Yeah, you know what's funny is Ricky Pearsall jumped on the injury report with a knee, but I thought it was from carrying the 49ers passing offense.
Yeah, I mean, and Demarcus Robinson's coming back, but that doesn't mean that Ricky has any less of a load moving forward here. Listen, this is the nature of the NFL, right? Like, as Fred Warner likes to say, 100% injury rate. But I, every year we do this, every year I say the same. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. And at this point, I'm very open to the possibility of spiritual or shaman esque issues at hand with the San Francisco 49ers because I don't cover every other team. I don't play the injury report game reading everybody else's injury report, but I read the injury reports of the other teams that the Niners play when they send it out, and the Niners always seems to be longer. And I have no idea. I'm sure it's a million different things. I'm sure it's also a curse, and I'm definitely not the man for the answer there.
I've run the gamut of logic on this. I've
There's no
literally gone.
logic.
Yeah, I know. I've said, hey, it's bad luck. Hey, they invest in players who get injured.
Totally.
Hey, and all of those things. But you know what? At this point, I have to start to think, like the poltergeist thing. Like they moved the stones. They just didn't move the bodies. From wherever this practice field is. But the good news
Do
is,
they have an exorcist on staff, or can they hire one out? Because it might be worthwhile. They spend a lot of money on a lot of things. Maybe an exorcism is worth it.
and I understand fans' frustrations with not forward thinking, but that has to be one of your forward thinking things. Like where's the
100%.
sage? Where is somebody who's
Right.
gonna come in and figure like you're not forward thinking. Like this is a league where you have to be ahead of the game, and yet the 49ers just seem to be falling behind in the spiritual sense.
Kyle Shanahan, so conservative that he refuses to accept demons, ghouls, and other spirits of that nature. I mean, it's just, what are we going to do with this guy?
We need somebody in the press conference to ask a question like that. Like, Kyle, have you considered that it's ghosts?
Kyle, Kyle, do you know of any burial grounds that are underneath your practice facility, or is it simply? Yeah, it is wild. It is football at the same time, and the Niners do play a physical brand, but man, I mean, exhausting, and it would be a little less frustrating, I imagine, if the Niners were to kind of take the advice that's been handed to them by the gods and the spirits for years and years and just have like a bitch in practice squad like the Eagles do, like the Chiefs do, like the good teams in the NFL do. And instead, it's just kind of a never ending cycle of guys that Kyle kind of knows. And my man Larry Kruger kind of brings this up. Like, Larry likes to just throw out some names. He's a name some guys guy. And there's a lot of validity and value to that, no question. But I'm starting to see Larry's point here. Like, I don't know. Let's take some flyers on some dudes instead of bringing Robert Beal back because we know what that is. And I think
Mhm.
that's a bonus for Kyle. That's a feature for Kyle and John. I think it's a bug of the system, but that's a much larger conversation to have down the line.
Yeah, for sure. So again, starting with the injuries, we found out today no injury designation for Brock Purdy. He's back, which throws water on Mac Jones's revenge game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So again, I don't understand, Kyle Shanahan. You don't want to embrace the spiritual side of probably what's going on, and also you're not a vibes guy because revenge
Yeah.
game narratives are far more fun than getting your starting quarterback back.
This football team strays further from God every day, and I just don't know how they're going to get back in the good graces of the higher ups. Listen. It's shocking that he's not going to even. He was questionable, right? And everything was trending towards him playing, and now it's
Mhm.
like, oh, toe's fine. It's like I don't know if the toe's fine. I haven't seen the toe. I don't know what's going on with that. He's also got a shoulder. We never talk about the shoulder, but there's a toe and a shoulder and it all seems pretty important for quarterbacking. I mean, I believe that he'll play and I believe that he'll look like Brock Purdy, but the idea that it's like injuries magically healed seems fanciful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 49ers at times live in perfect world scenarios that never come to fruition. So
No,
why would they yeah, why would they
no.
change that now?
It's great. It's great to feed your fans stuff like that because then
Mhm.
they take it to the next level as well. You should. You're a fan. But if when the team is out here being like, "There's no problems," I don't know what you're talking. Gaslighting just leaves everything very combustible. That's my thought.
Yeah. Yes, and gas, combustible. We're doing it all here. We're putting it all together on this one. But I wanted to ask you, Dieter, because it has been a little while since we spoken.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 49ers are 3-0, all these injuries, right? And I
Yep.
think that Kyle Shanahan deserves a lot of credit for
Unquestionably.
being for this is probably, if not one of his best coaching jobs so far through 3 weeks. And I feel like that's kind of being swept under the rug, because a lot of these games that they've won in this time would have been losses last season.
Totally.
But now, I guess where I'm going with this, Dieter, is we went into this season thinking we need to see a lot from these rookies, and we're kind of getting ready to go to 2026 with our plan. But now you're 3-0, and you have 2 wins in the division, and you have a chance to get greedy this weekend. Get 4-0. You have all these
Yeah.
reinforcements coming back. You do lose Nick Bosa, which is a huge bummer, but you have the expectations completely changed, and are the 49ers starting to believe that there's something special going on here, despite all the injuries and the loss of Nick Bosa?
I think those concepts can be mutually exclusive. I think that the goal from what I could garner from 49-49 was that whatever happens this year happens this year. Good, bad, in between, probably a lot of in between. Like whatever happens, it's all building for 26. We're going to take our lumps. We're going to learn from them. That will help us in 26. All the successes will help us in 26. And that's when they expect to be back at that Niners standard that they carried for 5 years and have carried for a good portion of this franchise's history, where it is Super Bowl or bust. But that was not the temperament this year. That was not the mentality. This year it was we're gonna just play it as it comes. We're gonna take it as it comes, and that I guess could turn into Super Bowl or whatever. But 3-0 is merely just an incredible amount of hay in the barn at the beginning of the season. And I agree with everything you just said. Like Kyle's doing a wonderful job. Robert Saleh's doing an incredible job. The players who have been asked to step up have been doing an incredible job, be they rookies, first-time starters. We could fill hours a week with just plaudits for how the 49ers have played. But if you had the initial intent of, or if you're one of those folks who viewed it in that very optimistic lens at the beginning of the season, which the Niners, to their credit, were not,
Mhm.
then yeah, you're thinking 3-0. We're going to the Super Bowl. I was proven correct. My thought on that is simply Nick Bosa has now, the injury to him has shattered that possibility. And the only way to maintain that possibility is to go out and get an elite pass rusher, a la Trey Hendrickson or
Mhm.
Brian Burns, if we're feeling a little bit loose with the term. There are guys, and certainly more, might become available. I heard Micah Parsons got traded, so anybody's on the table.
Okay.
So, but that's not how the Niners are going to go about their business. I know that John
Mhm.
Lynch is kind of feeding into it because why say no flat out? But the fact is that, again, it's all about 26. And the good news for the Niners is that my expectation for this team was that they would be a fringe playoff team. They could get in, they could go out. I thought it was going to come down to week 18 against the Seahawks. It still might, but having 3 in the bag means that you get to play 500 football from here on out, and you're a
Be 10 and
10-win
7.
team,
Yep.
which doesn't get you in, but you should feel damn good about your possibilities of getting in as a 10-win team. I know the Seahawks didn't get in as a 10-win team last year, but that was kind of a weird thing. 9 times out of 10, you're getting in with 10 in a 7-team playoff. And that's awesome. That's totally awesome because this team's realistic best case scenario. I know I'm putting a caveat on a best case. Like
Mhm.
this team's, I think for, like Jake and myself on the Dieter and Hutch show, like we were both like, I think they can get in and I think they could be plucky. And they talk all the time behind the scenes about the Rams model. We want to be the Rams. And that model was predicated on, okay, we have an offense that we feel really good about, right? We can be a top 5 offense. We can do that on a bad week. We can do that on a good week. And we'll have this defense, and it's going to be a lot of young guys and a lot of unproven guys, and they will come along. That we will coach them up, and they will come along. So by the second half of the year, we got this juggernaut or really, really good offense, and now a defense that looks feisty, a defense that looks like it can win a game every now and again. And then we're in the postseason, and who knows? Because it's the NFC, and you see the
Mhm.
Eagles have kind of taken half a step back, though I'm not
Yep.
sure if that will hold. Who feels dominant? The Packers just lost to the Browns.
Yep.
That's a whole other conversation. We probably should have seen that coming, but that's neither here nor there. There is no surefire juggernaut. You're not
Right.
talking about the creme de la creme if the Eagles are not at the Eagles level of last year, which I don't believe they are. So in that, it's all going great, except for the fact that that model has kind of flipped, where the defense carried the offense for the first 3 weeks. All the young guys, save for, I would argue, Upton Stout, looked like they kind of just knew what they were doing. They had their role. They could execute it. And
Siegel was a little up
Siegel's
and down.
getting a little wonky as of
Mhm.
late, to be fair.
Mhm.
But that first game was such a great first impression that
Right.
he's going to ride it. It's kind of like a Dominic Pooney situation where last year, unbelievable first game, and then no one ever looks his way again. Same thing with maybe Upton Stout during training camp. He was so good so early that no one looked that way again because there's 50 other shining objects out there that you can take a look at. But yeah, Siegel's there's some trickiness there, and we'll see what that looks like. I do think that the Jags have a really good shot this week to gash them on those deep over routes that Arizona couldn't take advantage of last week. But again, you have this young defense, Michael Williams stepping up, Alfred Collins going from absolute bust to somebody who in spare, 15, 20 snaps a game at the most, like that's somebody who will give you impact. CJ West was getting better and looking like somebody who could give you just solid reps. And that's 4th round pick, solid reps, sign me up. Siegel looks like the kind of guy, and this is still true, that can coordinate the entire back end. Now, guys weren't listening to him last week from what I could tell, mainly Stout, but like he is clearly somebody who sees it all very fast. And maybe it's going a little fast for him last week, but they also switched to like a man match system for last week. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. I'm not sure what we'll see this upcoming week again, because you have to insulate for the Bosa loss. Again, just to go to the point, the defense was carrying him and the offense was so banged up, and you have a backup quarterback for 2 games, that they just had to be opportunistic. It was an inverse of what they expected. So I'm not sure if they're on the Rams model anymore. They might be on the 49ers model, which is a completely different thing that brings about the same result, which is plucky when the time is right, hay in the barn early in this season. There's so much potential with this team. There's so many positive possibilities with this team. But when push comes to shove, not having an elite pass rusher, and I think Bryce Huff has been fantastic. I think Michael Williams has been fantastic. I think Sam Aquanu is a solid role player.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa is one of the 5 best defensive players in the NFL. The Niners just so happen to have another one of them, but he's one of the best of the best. And not having that, I think, ends up in a situation where the cheese gets really binding, the moments get really big, and you don't have that closer like he showed in the first 3 weeks, or first 2 weeks, I should say. And you don't have that closer who can go and just win the game for you the way that he did in Seattle, the way he kind of did with New Orleans as well. I know Huff got the sack. Bosa would have gotten it in the half second, not even that, like a split second later. Everybody was in the backfield on that play. Not having that, I do think, just caps the ceiling here. But I think the floor is so much higher than I initially expected because of the emergence of that defense from an early point. And Bob Saleh just getting weird with it, right? Like, it's not Robert Saleh, it's Bob Saleh. This is a completely different dude from the last time we saw him. And maybe that funkiness has some downsides, but at least it's an air of commission as opposed to whatever the hell Nick Sorensen did last year, which was certainly airs of omission. So as it stands, I think that this is a banner season. I think if everything good that could have happened to the Niners this year was gravy in the grand scheme of things, I think they have a very rich gravy. I think this is going to taste great on turkey and mashed potatoes come Thanksgiving time, because this is a really solid foundation for the future that gives you a shot of winning a playoff game or 2 come January. You got to take that. You got to love that. And you got to love where they're going in the future. It's 3 weeks in, but the fact that you said it, they're 3-0. They had Mac Jones as their quarterback. The injury report was longer than my list of bad predictions. Like, it was brutal. It was brutal. Crisis upon crisis upon crisis. And they still have 2 division wins, 3-0 on the season, and a lot of things that they can clean up, but a lot of things that they feel solid about now. And having that solidity was not something that I think anyone should have felt coming into the season, given how chaotic training camp was. To have that so early just it's a bonus, but let's cool the talk on Super Bowl. We saw like what the Lions did last year without Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
You have to have that guy. It is a fundamental piece of any championship team. That's why I think the Baltimore Ravens haven't gotten over the hump with Lamar Jackson. The Chiefs have a Chris Jones. The Eagles had, a bunch of dudes last year. They had dudes. Maybe it's only interior guys. Maybe Alfred Collins turns into that. I don't know. Maybe it's Mike Kell. But I think you need to have that bona fide, what the hell do we do against this guy pass rusher? The Niners don't have that right now, and I think it puts a limit on it. And I don't think that they're going to go out and get one of those guys, because the more success they have, the less incentive they have to maybe push some chips to the middle of the table and say, let's go for it this year, because they've always been thinking about 26. And the worse they play, the more incentive they have to hold on to those chips, because, hey, it's really always been about 26, and we don't want to limit our possibilities then for the sake of a situation that's kind of fallen by the wayside here. Let's keep our eye on the prize in 26 and beyond. If that's where your mindset is, this is a very happy time to be a 49ers fan. And I think that's how they feel inside the building right now.
Yeah, and we heard Kyle Shanahan before the season started about, just trying to peak at the right time and getting into the playoffs. And I think the 49ers, for almost any year that they've made it, aside from 2023, have always prided themselves, and maybe 2019.
Maybe 19. But they definitely were peaking in 2019. There's right. I don't know if they thought that going in, but you saw them in the playoffs. There was no team playing better, that's for sure.
Right. So 19 and 23, they felt like the favorites, right? And it felt like, they have a chance to run away with this. Every other year, they have made the playoffs, and they've always been that team that nobody wants to play. And that's what I always kind of took from Kyle Shanahan and the way that he was speaking about, hey, listen, we understand that there's going to be bumps and bruises, and we're just trying to sneak in, and then we'll see what happens, because that should be the goal for anybody in the NFC at this point, because like you said, looking around, and I think this is what I mean about expectations and them changing is, yes, you've banked up 3 wins, but you look around and you're like, wait a minute, we may not be this far off from this team that as we thought, right? And this is what
low, by the way, because you look at like a team like Seattle. Even Arizona gave them a good go. There's a lot of teams that are Tampa. There is no hierarchy in the NFC right now. There are good teams and there's crappy teams, and the Niners are part of the good team group.
Yep. Yeah, and by the way, I'm not happy with what's going on in Seattle right now. I don't like what they're cooking right now. Yeah, well, I did too. Look, listen, 49er fans don't like it when you say anything nice about Seattle, but I saw that coming the entire preseason. I was like, oh no.
My issue with this is that I'm how do I give this away without giving it away? The Niners don't leak much out of their facility.
Okay.
Right? They're buttoned up. They used to be leak central. It was great. It was like an open hose. Anyone could get anything they wanted. That stopped. And good on them. That means button up organization. Now you'll get stuff from John, but not like on the side. Like you'll get it when everyone else gets it. And they are a little bit more candid, certainly, in their public speaking than most teams. So we just take it as it is, right? It kind of incentivizes the media not to find those squeaky wheels as much, people who want to talk. And it is a buttoned up operation. I think everybody is in line with what it is they're trying to do, and there's not a lot of dissonance and all that stuff. So the way that I've had to approach kind of figuring out what's going on with the Niners is through back channel conversations. Like, oh, I heard from this. And that primarily revolves around NFC West teams, right? Because then there's an information trade. Like, what are you hearing? Okay, well then what are you guys seeing over there? So I don't have an affinity for them, and I don't have an affinity for the Niners either. I'm closer to them. I'm around them, but they don't really want to embrace me. So maybe it goes both ways. But I can see in this division 4 playoff teams. Now, Arizona's limiting factor is the fact that their quarterback sucks, and I hate watching him, and he's my least favorite player in football.
Really?
Can we just? Do you want? I'm happy.
Sure. Listen, I know we got cap on time, but hey, I'd love to hear this.
No, there's no cap on time for me to talk about how much I hate watching Kyler Murray play football.
Go for it.
He can't see it. He doesn't want to see it. He won't do it. I think it is a wonderfully coordinated offense. I think it is a unbelievably coordinated defense that gets left out to dry a lot. And the second they get Walter Nolan, and we'll see with the other injuries and stuff, it's football. But the second they get that gap splitter and Walter Nolan, that defense goes top 5 like that. If they get healthy in the secondary and get Walter Nolan, big ifs, That defense is so buttoned up and so organized and knows exactly what it wants to do and so dynamic that it will screw everybody up from this point on. And their quarterback, you look at everything around them and you might go, oh, well, Marv isn't all that good. Okay. Unquestionably, Marv has got a crisis of confidence. Maybe he got it back in the fourth quarter yesterday. But man, when you have a quarterback who refuses to throw NFL passes, we'll see it. We'll see a 15-yard in. We'll see a slant route and say, no, not going to do it. And then won't see anything else happening and just goes to the flat, screen. And then sometimes, if he's absolutely forced to, will do his tossing up of a grenade deep ball, which floats all the way there. If they had Geno Smith as their starting quarterback, they'd be the best team in the division. If they had Mac Jones as their quarterback, they'd be competing for a playoff spot. I cannot watch Kyler anymore. And here's how bad I know it's getting. First off, they kept cutting to the fans yesterday as Kyler's making mistake after mistake. Mm-hmm. So there's a tell, because it's not as if they didn't think about what they would do all week on the Thursday Night Football production truck. And then the second aspect of this is I am unsurprisingly maybe a bit louder in the press box than most, and opinionated, and not great at just keeping that in. So when the game's going on, there's a little bit of a Mystery Science Theater 3000 vibe going on in the press box, and we're all just kind of shooting it. And I'm typically the most aggressive in that regard. And I don't think it ever crosses an ethical line because I am a columnist. I'm allowed to have an opinion, all that stuff. But like, there is a little bit of a play-by-play aspect to how it goes. And I'm sure that Nick Wagner, who sits to my right, and Cam Inman, who sits to my left, are so sick of me. But I do get some chuckles every now and again, so it's worth it for me. Regardless, I am just going it because I watched the tape all week, and I knew it. I thought it, and then not looking to get anything confirmed, just watching it agnostically, I go, I hate watching this guy. I can't stand him. He is the single limiting factor on the Arizona Cardinals. They are so close to being one of the better teams in the NFL, and he is the thing that's holding them back. That was my tape takeaway. And you go, well, the game comes on Sunday. You never know. And he's doing all of the same nonsense that I saw on tape because that's him. And you saw it again on Thursday, yesterday. And I'm kind of going in. And I'm getting some laughs and this and that. But it's mostly like, if this dude throws it to the flat one more flipping time, I'm going to stab my leg with this pen. Because I can't watch this. I only have one allegiance in this world. It's not to the 49ers. It's not to the Chicago Bears, who I wasn't even a fan of when I grew up. It's not to my grandparents' Kansas City Chiefs, which I had a light. I mean, how do you have an allegiance to a team that was always 7-9 growing up and never got anywhere? I swore them off in the 2012 playoffs when Marcus Mariota caught his own touchdown. I'm like, I was a light fan of the Chiefs. I'm out now, and I've never come back. So that's fine. I don't have an allegiance. I want to see football played at the highest level. I want to see the game get pushed. That's where my enjoyment comes from. It's very different than everybody else's. It's not better than everybody else's. Y'all are living a better, sane life. I'm looking for high-level football play because I enjoy the sport of football, and theoretically, this is the sport played at its highest level. Kyler Murray makes me want to stop watching NFL football. These are the things that I'm saying in the press box as Kyler does his Kyler thing. And I hear groans behind me. And there's these, it's stanchioned in the press. I hear groans behind me every time I kind of make one of these under my breath comments like this. Hear these groans agreeing with this. And I'm like, okay, I never really look up because you never know who's really behind you. And then, there's a level of like, oh boy, this is maybe a little unprofessional. And so I should tone it down. And, let's not break the fourth wall here. Those groans were coming from the owner of the Cardinals. I get up after at halftime, go to the bathroom, grab a water, all that stuff. Who's sitting right behind? Owner of the Cardinals. And he is groaning along with me. Now, it should be noted that the cheapest owner in professional sports, Michael Bidwell, did not take his luxury suite, which the 49ers offer him at a discounted rate, and instead sat in the press box, Trent Baalke style. That in and of itself is hilarious. But I think they're done with him too. And that's a very scary proposition for 49ers fans, because if the Cardinals actually get competent quarterback play, and I know Kyler Murray is paid very well, and I know he looks cool on YouTube, he is not a competent quarterback. The second they get a competent quarterback is the second that they then go from, it's the Cardinals, even at their best, they're not really something you have to worry about, to now in the same threshold as a plucky upstart 49ers team and the same threshold as the Seattle team with a defense that might be the best in the NFL and an offense that looks like it's kind of figuring its stuff out with Clint Kubiak, and a Rams team that you can never bet against, even if a lot of the things about them maybe scream like, hold back a little bit, I'm going all in. Like, it has Sean McVay and it has Matt Stafford. As long as those two are healthy, and I know that Sean McVay seems to be more injured than Stafford these days, which is an incredible statement. Like, you can't bet against those guys either. This division is a buzzsaw, and the only thing that's preventing it from being a 4-team buzzsaw is Kyler Murray. I fear for the day for the 49ers fans, because I'll enjoy it no matter what, because now I'll see higher caliber of play from what I think could be a really good team. But I fear for 49ers fans what happens if, in fact, those groans were not at me, but, in fact, also at Kyler Murray, because that means they're moving on. That means that they'll have a new quarterback, and that means they're going to start winning some serious games.
My God, what a story, Dieter, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that one, man. That was, and it's funny because
the NFL, baby.
And you know what's funny? It comes on the heels of a tweet that has been sent out about a Ryan Clark take from 2020, in which he said that if you put Kyler Murray on the Baltimore Ravens, they would win a Super Bowl. This was a Ryan Clark take that he said the number one quarterback that he would take from any team and put him on anywhere, it would be that one. And for
Is
me,
he familiar with this Mahomes fella?
Well, that's what he said in 2020, and they brought it back up. But I think it's more about, and I respect the perspective of former players. I think they offer insight that I, obviously as a fan and somebody who podcasts in this room couldn't give you, right? I just give my unexpert opinion, but it goes to show you that players, and get the kids out the room. Sometimes they don't know shit, right? Like, and totally. I'm glad that I'm glad that you played football, and I'll never take that away from you. But there's many times where you know better than a football player. Yes, I know better than Ryan Clark in this instance as well too.
And here's how you know that Ryan Clark knows that he's first. I have a hard time going too far in on anybody who's on TV all the time, because those aren't really people anymore. They're characters on a show.
Of course.
And like, you might go like, oh, that's like, no, like legitimately, if you want to go on ESPN, they send you the breakdown and they say, what are you going to say?
Right.
And then, well, if the star of the show wants to say that, then you have to take the other opinion. And that in and of itself is a skill, but it's a disingenuous conversation. Embrace debate is not actually debate. It's embrace two contrasting viewpoints as scripted by producers. I think that Ryan Clark is on TV a lot, not because I think he has an incredible football acumen. I don't think he believes everything that comes out of his mouth.
No.
Now, I'll also say this, and I don't know Ryan personally. I don't know any of this. That's my guess. But the other aspect of it is, okay, we're all entitled to wrong takes, and Kyler Murray looked a lot better 2 years ago than he looks now. That's for sure. The regression is very real, and you can see them having to scheme around it. Or actually, basically, they're just running the Tua offense now with Kyler Murray. It's unconscionable to me. So in that, I'll say this. When he went in on Peter Schrager the other day, and I don't really partake in this stuff because I got enough crap to do, but that did come across my desk. And I do know Peter a little bit from back in the day, and he's as sourced up as any person I know, but doesn't play the access journalism game to where it's like, look at what this person sent me. He's a really, really good reporter. When Ryan Clark's like, you didn't play the game, so you don't know, that is a wonderful projection and tell of, I'm talking out my ass here, and the only way that I can discredit your opinion is by doing an ad hoc, or it was an ad hominem attack on you. And that is like just an immediate tell of like, well, you didn't play the game, you don't know. Okay, you did play the game. Explain to me what I'm getting wrong. In the same way that, like, you're in the belly of the beast, you don't have time to be looking at all this other stuff going on. You don't have time to analyze, it's a whole larger media conversation. I think that there are countless former players who do incredible analysis. And I think that, honestly, if we opened up our minds to maybe some that weren't name brand players providing that analysis, we'd have even better analysis. But the idea that somebody who didn't play the game at the highest level can't provide a level of analysis not of what it's like in that moment, or, here's how you handle these personal dynamics inside a huddle. But there's no analysis that can be provided beyond what someone had to live through, maybe in their playing career. It is just ridiculous to me.
Mhm.
And it's kind of insulting to a guy like, oh, think about all the head coaches. I mean, I know Kevin O'Connell played in the NFL and all, but like Mike McDaniel's a hell of an offensive coordinator. He wasn't playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
Does he not know football?
Right.
Kyle Shanahan never played in the NFL. I mean,
Right.
I know that he got brought up in it, but like, does he not know football? Like,
McVay was better than Megatron.
Yeah. I mean,
that's an insane story.
I always find it to be so disingenuous and and just an immediate tell of, oh, you don't actually have something interesting to say. Like, you can't actually counter my point. And I hear this all the time. It's like, oh, Dieter, you never played football, which is false. And then, or at a high level, which is half true. Not at the NFL level, to be sure. I got like 2 days in at Missouri camp. So I was a Big 12 football player for 2 days. And they said, no, you have to go. This was a mistake, which they were correct. But it's like, and by the way, go Tigers. But it is ridiculous. The game is the game. And it is a very complicated game, but it's also a very simple game sometimes. And so long as you understand your limitations in what you can provide analysis from, like you'll never ever hear me say stuff like, you need to handle this better as a leader or stuff. I don't know those dynamics.
Yeah.
I can piece them together through conversations, but I don't really know. I'm not in there. But I can certainly point out when it's a mistake to, run a screenplay on a 4th and 1 near the goal line in a hurry-up situation with the quarterback with what appears to be a torn PCL right after you got stuffed on a 7-man front, as if they're not going to blitz. Like, what? So the idea that, those who didn't play the game can't provide analysis. If the limiting factor for having an opinion about football is you had to have played the game at the highest level, let me tell you, football will be a pretty boring watch these days.
Yep.
There wouldn't be any evolution. There wouldn't be any progression, because you need outside ideas. You need outside opinions. And we live in a golden era of opinion, to be sure. And people can make up their own decisions on what's good and what's not. But to attack somebody in that regard, man, that was a bad tell. And it's just as simple as like, hey, man, we all get takes wrong. Kyler Murray looked pretty sick in 2020. He went to the playoffs in 2020. Don't ask what happened in that playoff game. But, like, he looked pretty sick. Lamar Jackson, still pretty sick. But, like, the idea of, like, oh, you didn't play, so you don't know. Yeah, I don't know some stuff. But I might have a better viewpoint on a lot of other stuff because of my station. So, and then, beyond that, it's like, you don't think that football can be handled? I mean, there's some really smart people in the NFL. There's some real dum-dums in there, too. And the same is true with media. So the idea that, that's a differentiating fact. It's a little bit of a sore subject for me. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit on my own here, too.
No, that's all right.
But I always find that amazing. And Kyler Murray, by the way, makes me very happy that I never played at the highest level. Not that I ever had aspirations to, because imagine being his teammate right now and having to go through and watch these tapes and be like, oh, I know the problem. And he's the one problem we can't really get rid of right now.
Yep, absolutely. So, Dieter, we got maybe 10 minutes. So let's do this.
Let's rapid fire. I'll shut the hell up. Let's do this.
Nah, you're good. I'm having a blast, man. I love that Kyler Murray story. That's something that, like, I'm gonna head to a concert in a little bit, and I have a long drive with my buddy. I'm gonna light his ass up with this story and say, listen, the Cardinals owner's about to get rid of Kyler, dude, and nobody knows it.
I mean, I don't know if that's true or not.
No.
But, like, it was interesting that was where the grunts were coming from, and it was a total cringe moment for me, where it's like, not that I hold any respect for Michael Bidwell, but just in like, be a little bit more careful, Kurtenbach.
Nah, keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. So I want to ask you this, Dieter, because we talked about, the expectations and everything. And I do think that the 49ers expectations have changed. And I do think that right now, what this next month or so before the trade deadline is all information gathering. And it's all trying to figure out, how are we going to put the pieces together to replace Nick Bosa? It's not one for one. You're not going to be able to find one guy to do that. Maybe that's Trey Hendrickson, but the Bengals are nowhere near trading anybody right now, because no matter how bad we think it looks, and we do think that they're cooked, and they are cooked, by the way, without Joe Burrow. Oh, they're cooked with but what I want to always tell fans about this is a few things with trades, right? One, other teams are not under any obligation to help the San Francisco 49ers because you're a fan and you like that player.
What?
Yeah, one.
Shit.
Two, The Cincinnati Bengals still have to turn some sort of profit, and trading Trey Hendrickson after losing Joe Burrow is the quickest way to signal to your fans, hey, don't come to the games anymore and don't watch anymore. Okay?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Three. Two teams have to agree on something.
Right.
I have to send you a trade proposal and you have to agree. It's not Madden. You do not take off the slider and say, give me Trey Hendrickson for a 7th rounder and eat the salary and we'll take him. You know, that's a deal that I would do if I was the Bengals. No, right?
I have one Isaac Arendo. You give me one Trey Hendrickson.
Right, exactly.
Force the trade. Yeah.
So, like, I want to get that out there because I don't want 49er fans to say, I can't believe they didn't do this and they didn't do that. Well, you don't know if the Bengals are even in a position to do that.
There's also this aspect of things, which is how much did the Niners value their draft picks as it stands now very highly, and how many other teams are bidding for the same one elite player. I'd imagine it's pretty much all of them because like a relief pitcher in baseball at the trade deadline, everybody wants one and everyone thinks that that's their one piece away. A defensive end in the NFL is as plug as play as it gets. Maybe a running back, but even not a running back with some of these offenses. Defensive end, you can just bring him in on a Tuesday. I mean, look at Micah Parsons. He hadn't even practiced with the team. He had 2 games in his bag already. And so the idea that there's not a bunch of teams that are looking for a defensive end that would immediately say, oh, well, he's clearly the best guy. And that none of those teams would send more draft capital than the San Francisco 49ers. It's a little bit too much for me to believe because I know they're holding on really tight to their top 100 picks for next year, knowing that that's sort of in their mind the last piece of building this foundation. It's going to take 3 drafts. They've got 2 that they feel really good about where they've gone 50%, maybe even more this year. We'll find out at the end of the season. And then they need 1 more of those. And now that's their foundation. Now they can start spending a little bit of money on the side. Now they got their top end guys. Like all of this is part of their plan. Trey Hendrickson was never part of the equation. That's not to say that equation can't change, but also expensive. So that's a cash outlay for Jed York. Needs a new contract, more of a cash outlay for Jed York. Already 30 years old, which is not old by my standards personally, but on a football field is very old to the point
might as well be 60.
Right. People are saying trade Nick Bosa now after this, which first off, all-time sell low. That's how you play the market, guys. Just sell it at your absolute low point of value. But like if he's too old at 28 with a couple of injuries, what the hell is Trey Hendrickson? I know it's the Bengals, but at a certain point, there is some logic in the Bengals not giving him the long-term deal that he wanted on par with a Max Crosby or a Myles Garrett or a Micah Parsons. And I just don't see that one happening. Again, given that everything that they're about is 2026 and Trey Hendrickson is like the definition of a 2025 only player that would take detriment from 26 to get. So, and again, I just don't know where I'm glad you brought up sliders. Like, I don't know where the slider is on like, oh, we're doing great. Why do we need Trey Hendrickson versus, oh, it's all gone to hell. We need Trey Hendrickson, but like, should we be sacrificing? Should we be, buying him on a credit card? Like, I don't know if there's ever a nice middle median there. And maybe there is. Maybe they're like 7-3, and but that's too late now. So it's get familiar with Arden Key and Cleve Farrell again.
Thank you. Oh my God, that was literally the name that I was about to throw back out there from the Titans. So what's funny is all of this has to be, you have to remember this, right? We talked about expectations changing. The 49ers are 3-0. You look around the NFC, you really don't see a juggernaut. Yes, you've lost Nick Bosa, but you're going to go into this information gathering month of football before the trading deadline to figure out, okay, what worked? Did we blitz more? Did this guy step up? What's the development with our guys? All of those things have to be taken into account. All of that to end up with Arden Key again. And here's the case for it. Here's the case for it, though. No, it's a great move. Here's why.
Okay. I don't know about great.
Well, all right. Well, what I mean, all right. So the reason that I'm going to say that it's great is this. What Nick Bosa provided was obviously a top 5 defensive player, but the cascading effect of him leaving has made this defense not as much as movable. Meaning, like Michael could play inside, right? Like, and now Michael has to stay outside now.
I'm not sure that's actually the case for what it's worth.
Okay, good, good. Well, so Bryce Huff is not, Bryce Huff is a guy who's a situational guy. You want to make sure that you have him for now he's got to play a little bit more, right? Like, and it may knock down his efficiency. But what I mean is that Arden Key fits so well because he can play inside, outside. He can allow more of that. Like the more, like you said, like with Salah getting funky, you can do that with him. Now, is it a 1-for-1 replacement for Nick Bosa? Obviously, that's not. And I think that Trey Hendrickson is a better football player than Arden Key. But I think when you're talking about what they've been able to do and how they've been able to stack, gross models and move him around, and you can move Michael around and you can move Arden Key around, I think that's where I see the 49ers landing because, one, he's going to be cheap. Two, he's not going to wreck your plans moving forward. And three, he's going to allow Robert Saleh to remain that flexible, which is probably his superpower right now on the defensive line, is being able to mix and match with these guys in certain situations and get the most out of them. So the Trey Hendrickson thing is like, yeah, you just have set him at edge and go, like, and you're fine. But again, expensive, all that stuff. The Arden Key thing is like the reason that I'm more bullish on that right now is just because I like where Salah is, and it allows him to remain flexible with the sum of his parts rather than, obviously relying on Nick Bosa, who's very good.
So I don't know if I brought this up to you on a stream in the past, but I have I can't shake this analogy that I've gotten in my head, which is that the offensive line is starting pitchers and the defensive line is relief pitchers. And when you have a defense, it shouts to Eno Saris, the great baseball writer for The Athletic, who suggested this year something that I had never heard before, but makes all the sense in the world. It kind of clicked into place for me as somebody who really likes baseball and likes the theory of baseball, in that a bullpen, the difference between good and great is how different the guys in the bullpen are and how many different arm angles they can throw at teams, both lefty and righty, but also just like top to bottom. And the Giants coming into the season had the most disparate bullpen arms in terms of like guy straight over the top or a sidearm, or in the case of Tyler Rogers, like a submarine guy. And it was just so many different angles they were coming at that it created a really difficult environment to hit late in games for other teams. And I think that bore itself out early in the year for the Giants until they sold all their good guys. But regardless, I do think defensive line is like that. You don't want everybody on your defensive line to be out there all the time, right? And I know the Niners have never really done that. Chris Kasarik wants to run two different units out there and mix and match and all that. But this year, they're really getting funky with it, as you've acknowledged, and guys sliding inside. They're dropping dudes into coverage. They're getting a little bit more Flores-y. They're getting a little bit more McDonald-y. They're getting a little bit more Gannon-y. Fangio-y to a degree, maybe a little bit too much Fangio last week, but Robert is putting out bespoke game plans that are unique, and that requires a bunch of different skill sets. And I do think that they should continue to build on that. Here's more guys with more funk, and we can use this guy for 10, 15 snaps a game and this guy for 15 to 20, and we can just mix and match and try to find the right combination for the right time in the game. The issue is that there is another differentiating factor with bullpens, which is you have to have a lights out closer. Just an absolute, like, this guy, ninth inning, doesn't matter who's coming up. You're not mixing and matching. You're saying Robert Suarez. You're saying, Mariano Rivera. Like, here's the ball. Ninth inning, win the game. I don't care. Someone else gets into a jam, eighth inning. Guess what? Closer's coming in. And they don't have that now. They don't have that. They have a really good setup guy in Huff. They have as good of a seventh inning guy, and this is maybe stretching the analogy too far, in like a Michael. They have a bunch of dudes who can, if you put them in the right place at the right time, they're perfect for that. Just great bullpen arms. They don't have Bosa, who is just not only a great pitcher, but also just has the stuff. No one's touching that stuff. He can work you with craft. He can work you with stuff. They don't have that. You can't get that. There's a reason that these guys get paid $30, $40 million a year. They're rare. They're special. They're game changers. And I can't stand all the Niners fans who are out here being like, well, if Fred was out, that would be more important. No shit, it would be. It doesn't matter if it's more important or not. You just lost a foundational piece to what made your team successful. And everything was built off the fact of we only need to get to the eighth inning. We just need to figure out how to get Bosa into the game because then he's going to end it. And not having that, now you're playing a longer game. I am really stretching the cross-sport analogies,
you got
maybe 5 or 6 people will understand what the hell I'm talking about. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, now you just have to embrace the funk. And the funk is going to be like most bullpens. Some nights it's going to be disastrous. Ask the Dodgers if they wish they had a lockdown closer right now. I bet they wish that they went out and got Mason Miller. You're right. Yeah. Like, seriously, like most of these teams are like, oh, we're going to just figure it out. We'll play it by the situation.
Closer by
Screw that.
committee.
Closer by committee is saying that you don't have one. This
You don't?
is now a closer by committee situation for the 49ers defensive line. And that's not to say that you can't close out games or 15 guys, or 4 different guys can't get 10 or so saves. Again, we're stretching the analogy pretty far here. But you know what I prefer? Rivera. You know what I prefer? Like, here's a Robert Suarez. Like, just give him the ball. You know what you're going to get. It's not going to be perfect every time, but 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, he's going to lock it down. And here's the other aspect of this. The other team fears them. The other team does not want to see them. Anybody else, it's like, oh, well, that's a little funky, and they'll take it as they come. But they don't want to see Nick Bosa fourth quarter of a game. Ask Sam Darnold. Like, they don't want to see him in that situation. And they don't. And how does the 49ers defensive line function from here on out, knowing that you've now lost this year your second best run defender, arguably just on his merit, their most important run defender in Bosa, who's an elite run defender, and also their unquestioned best pass rusher, even with Huff looking really good off the edge and looking pretty good on the run as well. Like Bryce Huff in the 9th inning, you're feeling a little bit, I hope this works out. Nick Bosa in the 9th inning, you feel great. And that in a game where they're in a season where every game is going to be tight and down to the wire, and they're in, let's do another cross-sport analogy here, the real NFL. Steve Kerr always talked about after the Warriors lost Kevin Durant, they're going to enter the real NBA now, where the margins are just tighter. They can't just go and play half a good quarter and win. Like, they actually have to play, in the NBA's case, 1/2 of good basketball, because the first half is just grab ass in general. Like, now they're in the real NFL. Yeah. Scary proposition. And again, I just don't think that they have that dude on the other. I don't think they have a dude that the other side is truly afraid of. And come the fourth quarter of an NFC divisional game, that's the guy you got to have. You have to feel really good about, okay, we're putting the ball in this guy's hands, and we'll live with the outcomes because this dude is lights out. They don't have that. They can't. I don't think that there's a realistic way they can get it. And that's why I have a limitation on this team, because everything else about the 49ers right now says the sky's the limit, except that. And that might, other than quarterback, that might be the biggest issue that this team could have. And it's reared its ugly head.
And the funniest part is, if you don't believe what Dieter's saying, how did the 49ers get to 3-0?
Yeah.
While everything else was, working itself out.
Can I throw a crazy stat at you?
Sure.
So Nick Bosa played 14 snaps on Sunday against the Cardinals.
Yep.
The Niners had 12 pressures in the game. 40% of those pressures came on the 2 series Nick Bosa played.
I know.
And that's against an offensive line that was down Hernandez and down Darius Johnson, and is not particularly that good, with a quarterback who is just like, please come hit me. I'm going to spin out of it because I don't see anything, because I don't know what the offense is. Sorry, Kyler talk.
No, you're good.
Like, this is a huge test of Saleh, because now you're having to push it a little bit more with the secondary that didn't look good against the Cardinals. Now you're having to allocate more resources, which they didn't really do against the Cardinals, to be fair, to getting guys home. And
you're going to blitz a lot more now.
Yeah, how that balances out is going to be fascinating. And Bob has earned his salary tenfold already, and he's about to earn it even more.
Not to kind of put down or anything like that. And what I was getting at is that, Nick Bosa was the reason, for the most part, and that defensive line, finishing those games is how the 49ers ended up 3-0. Now you don't have that, and now you kind of just have to hope that the 49ers offense is what turns it around now. But what's scary now is Renardo Green is truly, truly, truly questionable for Sunday. And this is going to be a game where the 49ers are absolutely going to blitz and blitz and blitz, because you want to put that pressure on Trevor Lawrence. But how do you feel about that with Darrell Luter on the other side of Diamador Lenore, who is going to surely be tested because he's next man up? So all of these things, you're going to look at this game, and a lot of people are going to look at if the 49ers defense, gets worked around a little bit here by Liam Cohen and this Jaguars offense.
And he's good.
Oh,
Cody's
he
good.
is good. Oh, he is good. I don't know if Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence is, but
Lawrence
I know
isn't.
he's good. Yeah, right. Exactly. Um,
Well,
he
that's a conversation to be had because he could also have figured it out this week. He's so
yeah,
close.
yeah.
Kyler is as far away from it as possible. Trevor Lawrence is right there. It might never get there. That might be that inch that he can never get, but he is right there. His footwork is off. He doesn't throw with anticipation. I'm not sure if those are two things that you can just maybe the footwork you can fix. That anticipation thing I think is deep set. But man, they draw it up. They draw it up in Jacksonville.
And imagine if they caught passes, like that, so that's another thing. But
it's hard to catch passes when they're constantly throwing a beat behind you, though, to be fair.
yeah, that's true too. But the thing is that people will look at if the 49ers defense comes out and they get beat a little bit, like, oh damn, Bosa's not here. But the complementary pieces, it's like Darrell Luter's there, and they're moving, and Diamador Lenore doesn't follow. So is this the week that Bryant's? He might. I was gonna say because if Brian
they did it with Green last week. I don't think it went that well. I think they should go away from that. But Saleh tells you stuff and how he schemes this up. Mykel Williams being used everywhere, anywhere, all at once in week 1 and then 2 and then 3. Like that tells you something about what he thinks about that guy. You don't put that on a rookie unless you think that he's special. You don't put D Winters out there without real competition because your pick 75 is inactivated because you think that, well, I guess that's our guy. You don't. You figure out ways to do that. And last week they're like, nope, Renardo Green, you're our number one. It hasn't. Renardo's not had a good season so far by the standard I expected from him. But Saleh thinks that he's the dude. So now it's Lenore's time to shine. But with him and Stout and Luter, oh boy, that's a big question mark for me. With Pinnock being just very susceptible and Siegel still being a rookie, man, that's a secondary that has a chance to be great, even with Luter in there. But I can't bet on it. And now you're putting more like the way that you can. I guess there are teams that do this, but they're not right to. Like you need to have great corners if you want to blitz the way that. And I guess Minnesota's a crappy example because they just do zone concepts behind. And they're just gambling. They're always gambling.
They're showing you they're in quarters and then they're showing you palms and it's
palms quarters.
Different.
You have to guess and you don't have enough time to maybe read it right. And so maybe that's what Saleh has to do. And frankly, he's not far away from doing that as it stands. Right. But like you think about Seattle and how much heat they want to bring. Well, it helps to have Joe, but it helps to have Witherspoon. Yeah. I guess it would help to have Tariq Woolen if he get his head out of his ass, and have Love on the back end. Like you have the secondary where you can feel. I know. You have the secondary where you can feel comfortable getting weird with it because they'll bail you out if you get it wrong. I think that the Niners don't have much of a choice, and maybe that secondary does step up because they're certainly talented enough to, especially if Green plays. But I don't know if they have that reputation in-house yet to where Bob feels like, oh yeah, we'll be okay. Like these guys will clean it up. It's the complementary football inside its own unit. I think this is a game that's played in the 30s for both teams this week.
Big back and forth game, ping pong game.
I don't. I mean, that's maybe a little bit too specific for my limited brain capacity, but like. Yeah, I think that it's another come from behind. I think it's a come from behind win for the 49ers because I trust Brock more than I trust Lawrence.
Right.
But when the cheese gets binding, right? But like I think Lawrence is going to have like a nice statistical day until it really matters. And I think that it might be a little chunky for Brock at times, but like they'll steady as she goes and they'll get their touchdowns and they'll kick a bunch of field goals and it'll be fine. And then it'll come down. I guess if I had to be very specific, I think Brock goes ahead with like 3 minutes to play or something, and then Trevor Lawrence does something really stupid and throws the game away. That would be my guess, and the Niners win 33-30. But I haven't thought about it in specifics at all, Jason.
Yeah, not at all, actually.
No, I don't have this vision in my mind that if it doesn't happen, I'm going to feel like an idiot. No.
You heard it here first. Dieter is predicting the first interception of the season for the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. Yeah,
I might be predicting if I'm being honest, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
I also think that they're going to get burned a bunch. I'm very concerned about
I get afraid if Brian Thomas gets singled up on Darrell Luter, and this could be like the game where he starts to break out a little bit more. Like that's the one that kind of scares me the most, more than anything.
I guess the positive spin on it is that like Green hasn't been good. right? Like full stop. He just hasn't. I mean, not by the standard that I set for him, like all pro standard, which I thought he
Yeah,
could achieve this year.
Pro Bowler.
But like he's had some like real busts. I mean, he's
Yeah.
fallen over. I mean, Olave worked him a couple of times against the Saints. Like,
By the
it's
way,
not-
I still want Chris Olave arrested because you can't do that to my guy like that. And then wait a minute. Oh, and also, Dieter, real quick, not to interrupt you.
No.
But oh my God, what happened to Upton Stout on that 4th down? Oh no! Watching the film, I couldn't believe that he got spun around like that into the ground. Oh no!
Yeah, he's a drill bit right now, man. He's just just getting spun. But like, I guess the positive spin is like he's the only rookie where that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's
Alfred
true.
Collins was like that in week 1. Like that standard procedure for rookies just getting worked. And the fact that Upton Stout's the only one, and by the way, who has just like feisty, great energy, like you want to bet on him to improve.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever will, but like you want to bet on him
He's got
and
the
his
right
temperament,
mindset.
setting the tone, like, and made the play when it needed to be made. Like that's existence as a rookie in the NFL, right? They're going to work you until you prove that you can beat them. And
For
even
sure.
then, I don't know if Stout proved anything, but he made the play at the right time. And
For sure.
like that's huge. That should be the case across the board for this Niners defense. And it's really only the case for one guy. That's a huge positive because, I mean, it sucks for him that he's getting, isolated like this because everyone else has proven their mettle so early. But like, this was the roller coaster ride Salah was talking about. It just happens to be with one dude right now. I guess the positive spin on the Green injury, which is a neck injury, which I guess happened in practice on Thursday, is that he hasn't been all that good. And like, I don't think Darrell Luter is actually all that bad. And I know that there is a big differentiation in possibility, like upside possibility. But if we're just talking about what we've seen so far, which is nothing from Luter, but I kind of know what he is at this point, versus what we've seen so far from Green, like there's levels to it, but we're talking about the difference between like a C- and a C+. So maybe they can still do all the same stuff. Like Luter's a very physically talented player. Like he can do it. And maybe actually being in a more boom or bust situation because of the responsibilities that are going to almost certainly be given to the secondary. Like maybe that brings out the best of him. I'm not betting against Darrell Luter. I'm not saying he's ever going to be anything more than a B, but like where they're at, like that, they've been getting by with less than that so far from that spot with the guy that they view internally, at least, as their true number one. So interested to see how that manifests. Like so many interesting things in this game from both sides, while at the same time just being so volatile. Like it's just anything can happen in this game. Both offenses could just totally be non-functional, would have nothing to do with the defense, but the offenses could be non-functional because of just like basic schematic stuff. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be the other way around. I think the Niners run game gets going up against a team that has one of the lowest stuff rates in the league and never stacks the box with 8. Like I feel like they had a really tough time in the first 3 games because those are 3 really tactically brilliant teams, and the Saints had less talent, but like Arizona and Seattle, that's about as good as it's going to get when we're talking about stopping outside zone. That ain't the Jags. Jags have a lot of positive qualities on defense. I think they're like wholly competent, but I think Christian McCaffrey goes off, and then that helps Brock. That gets you more of the balance on offense, which you just haven't had so far this year, where they've been running into each other's asses for 2 downs and then hoping that Mac Jones can bail them out on 3rd, which is a dangerous way to live. They've won, but it's a dangerous way to live. I feel like the Niners offense might look like the Niners offense for the first time this year. And on the flip side, like I feel like this Niners defense is probably going to look more like the Niners defense we expected coming in. Maybe they are on the Rams plan is what I'm maybe coming back to. First 3 games, toss them out. Now this is the Rams plan, a defense that's like, oh boy, we got to get these guys going. We got to build them up. Like this is going to be tough sledding until we get to later in the season, and hopefully then it can all flourish. Whereas the offense is kind of the steady heartbeat that gets the points right on the board, and it's going to come down. It's going to come down to the wire. I feel that one in my gut. I mean, it's easy to say after 3 games that have come down to the wire, but like I feel like a 4th is in the cards here.
Yeah, I think so too. And specifically watching the Jaguars defense, I do like a lot of the things that they do up front defensively
Totally.
with the stunts and everything as well too. But I also do believe that those numbers are inflated because Carolina stinks, so does Houston on offense, and so does
Whew.
and so does was and the Bengals without Joe Burrow, right? Like they have all these turnover numbers and everybody's like, "Oh wow, they turned the ball over." Yeah, Jake
Yeah.
Browning threw them 3 interceptions in one game. Like
And
yes,
two of
like
them
that,
were just like, dude, did you forget what team you played for?
right,
They
exactly.
were like
So
Brock level against the Seahawk interceptions, if you
so
need
I
a
think
point of comparison.
So I think they're a good defense. They're fine, but it's just
They're
not
fine.
like they're like
They're the
I'm pushing back on
16th.
this.
Yeah, they're the 16th best defense in the NFL. They're the 16th best offensive line in the NFL, and they're probably the 16th best offense in the NFL, with the offense having the talent to take it to the other level, but maybe
Yeah.
the quarterback's the limiter.
I'm just pushing back on the whole like, oh my god, the Jaguars have this amazing defense. I don't know about that. I think they have a good defense. I
Who the
think they're
hell's saying
fine.
that?
So a lot of people are like, oh, have you seen they're turning the ball over this amount and they have this, their pressure. I'm like, yes, listen, they
Watch the
do.
tape.
Thank you. Now that's what I was saying is that I think
That's
they
fine.
do some.
Don't waste your time. Like, live your life.
Well, it's
But,
not
like,
fun either, too. Like I
no.
also want to tell people. I tell people that all the time. It's like when I sit and I watch the tape silently, I'm not enjoying myself. Like I love watching football, and I do, but it's hard sometimes, especially when you're watching shitty tape.
I mean,
Like that's the worst. That's the
I
worst.
enjoy myself, but I'm with you. That's where I'm at, right? Like
Yeah.
what I want to see is the highest level. So when I'm sitting there slogging through a crappy team's offensive plays, yeah, I question some life decisions. By the way, I've mapped out this PS4 controller so that oh shit, I might have turned it down. So I can like easily scroll through stuff because the coaches' remotes, one of the most overinflated costs in the history of stuff. The coach's remote is a basic remote with like not really all that easy buttons to reach. I've worked a coach remote and like USB A costs like $200. It's unbelievable. So what?
Yeah.
This I was actually going to make a video about this, but let's just do it here. I bought this little bitty guy yesterday. It's a little bitty Joy-Con remote.
Looks like a Nintendo remote.
Do you know how easy it is to go through tape?
To breeze through the tape.
It is. You map out, because NFL Pro, I have some next gen access. Like they have keyboard shortcuts. You just map these buttons to the keyboard. You could fly.
Yeah, you got the next gen access. Like, damn it. Like for me, like
not all the time. I got begged for it every week.
I refuse to pay for NFL Pro just because.
You should get NFL Pro. It's worthwhile.
It's all right. I have, I just have to wait a day, and then the tape filters into, my Google Drive folder, so I get to it.
I know what's up. I know what's up.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
I don't have to talk about.
Yeah, of course. Hey, listen. I'll get it how I get it.
There's no complaints about it. In fact, I haven't been on that listserv in a minute. I might hit you up for that again. Just
hell yeah. Let me know.
Let me know. Downloaded one because it's like sometimes you want it on the iPad and stuff. But
yeah. And it comes in HD, so that really helps too. But Dieter, thank you, man. I appreciate you. These are always great.
I got another 10 minutes. You got anything you actually want to ask me, or
yes?
I've been bloviating my ass off.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm having a blast. So like this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. So the offensive line, right? Like we're looking at this offensive line, and you have two tackles that you don't really have to worry about, and that's me talking about Colton McKivitz and saying nice things about him. 49ers fans, by the way.
You're about 2 years late on that, by the way.
Well, no.
No. Niners fans, y'all better get up to speed. I'm not going to blame anybody for being late on this, but y'all held on to your priors way too long.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. And
have you ever seen that thread that guy put out when Del Curry left Sonya? I know that sounds so gossipy, but it's like you don't want to be out here. You don't know what it's like out there. You don't want to be out there. You think you want to be out there because you haven't been out there, but you don't want to be out there. That's the tackle situation in the NFL right now. Y'all think, you could do so much better than Colton McKivitz. Let me assure you, you cannot under any circumstances.
And I tell 49ers fans this all the time, and it'll get back to, what we're talking about with the offensive line is bang for your buck. When you were talking about what Colton McKivitz was giving you, return on investment was insane, right? And everyone wants 5 all-pro linemen. I want you, and this is what I always tell 49ers fans, whenever you are down on your offensive line, whenever you feel like, hey, I'm tired of watching my offensive line get their ass kicked, pop on Houston's tape and watch an offensive line get their ass kicked every single play. And I assure you that things can get worse, and they can get much worse very fast. But
So much worse.
the point of this is tackle's really good. The 49ers are actually really good in pass pro this season, but the run blocking now, right? And it does feel like they're just one block away from springing it. I don't want to put this on the fact that people are using this to say, hey, Christian McCaffrey slowed down. I
don't
think
see that. So I legitimately was looking into this, like, because one of a good tell, and the thing that really stood out last year when he came back was that he couldn't get up to speed. He just couldn't. And he had no 20-mile-per-hour runs last year. And so then you look at this year, he has no 20-mile-per-hour runs. And so you would be like, oh, man, maybe he's lost a step or two. Then you watch, me at 1 o'clock this morning, I'm going through every Christian McCaffrey run again and again and again with my itty-bitty controller. And I'm just going pop, 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 pop. He's got it. He's got it. It might not be 23, but it looks old. I mean, it's almost indistinguishable from 23, and 24 was very distinguishable. You mentioned the one block away. This is what I'm talking about with the tactical issues that the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals presented. Because they clog the middle and because they create so much chaos on the second level, it makes it very difficult to slide protections at the line of scrimmage. You have a very hard time getting to those second level blocks, which are fundamental to his own blocking scheme. You just don't. You thought that guy was going to be there at the second level. He ain't there. He's off the edge, this and that. If you want to blame somebody, if you want to blame one single person, and I do not think that this is going in too hard. If you want to blame one single person for this offensive line's issues, for this run game's issues, you need to look at number 89, Luke Farrell. Because I don't know what it is he does here. But every other the defensive coordinators that they have faced have basically put the successive run plays on Luke Farrell, their blocking tight end's ability to block. And by the way, they moved the ball great on the ground when George Kittle played those series. Then he gets injured. Now
you missed Charlie Warner yet?
I mean, kind of. I never thought that Charlie was actually all that good of a blocker, but that's, again, you don't want to be out there. You don't know what it's like out there. You think you want to be out there, but you don't want to be out there. Farrell has been abysmal. And there are a couple of plays. I mean, the beauty of having all these guys on the line of scrimmage is if you block it up right, you got nothing but room behind them. But because, fundamental on a defensive coordinator is who's the weak link, attack him until he proves it's the same thing on, what we're talking about with Upton Stout. They have said 89 is the weak link. Now, Tonjes, when he's in there, they'll straight up replace him with Tonjes because he's sucking. So they'll be like, Tonjes, get in there. But he's obviously the weak link as a blocker. He's Jake Tonjes. You can't hold that against him. No one was asking him to be a block. But he's the one who's having to, forgive the parlance, set the edge for the outside zone run game. He can't do it. I don't know if he can't. He has not done it.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is it doesn't look like he can do it. That is the issue. This is why I'm actually bullish about the Niners run game this week. I doubt, could happen, but I doubt with the way that the Jaguars have played through 3 games that they're going to put the same onus, same focus on Farrell, which means that he just gets to do his thing, which is be bad at blocking, despite being theoretically a blocking tight end. I mean, dude's getting spun. That's the issue. If you can run it inside the tackles, or if you can run it if you can run not wide zone, but outside zone, if you can run that, which I think they can, and I think they have, when you don't have to rely on Luke Farrell to break the run game, which I don't think Jacksonville's going to force him to do, we'll see, then there's a world of possibilities because you do have 2 good tackles, and you do have 2 guards. I mean, Pooney's so injured, it's really kind of tough to watch.
I think Colby was dealing with that too.
Colby's got the cap. He's there, and you can see Brendel just being like, "Man, I am too old for this shit." He's having, Brendel's not there because he's a great blocker, and now he's having to do 3-man's jobs in the middle and trying to figure out what's what. I just think it's going to be a little more straightforward this week, and a little more straightforward is going to go a long way for the Niners run game. But if you want to blame somebody, stop blaming Colton McKivitz because you don't know. It's because Luke Farrell has not blocked. Probably cannot.
So what I'm gathering from this is Kyle Shanahan doesn't like vibes and doesn't want Mac Jones to have his revenge game because he's setting up Luke Farrell for his revenge game against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week in the run game.
I'm fascinated to see how much they actually play Farrell, given how. I mean, he got benched in the last game.
Yeah.
We didn't notice it, but he got benched.
Mhm.
And they put Jake Tonjes, not a good inline blocker.
I don't think
good
that's
as a
what
fullback, but like not a good inline. They're like, just go out there. Like you couldn't possibly be worse, and they were right.
And I don't think that's his skill set. I think that he can be used a little bit. Like right, like it's like I always say, like I don't ask my plumber to fix my roof. Like don't put him in a position where he has to do something that he's not good at. Right, like so.
Imagine paying your roofer $9 million, and he can't fix your roof.
and it's funny because the Luke Farrell signing, it was on the heels of the 49ers literally not signing anyone that fans wanted them to sign, and that was like the signing, and then like through 3 weeks it's just been this. And by the way, he's added his one touchdown catch of his career from Mac Jones, which
it's physically painful to watch him try to run that in.
I just think it's hilarious how things
who
work
is
out.
Slower getting into the end zone, Juwan Jennings
or him? Oh my god.
Juwan Jennings going full putting the team on his back.
You know what? Look, again, that was an amazing play, but what I loved about it was the play call, and then like this is why I am, obviously, I've been labeled a Kyle Shanahan apologist, and he can't do anything wrong. I have things that I criticize Kyle for, but I love Kyle Shanahan as a coach. That's like him, literally. Like again, when we talk about who's making people money, he's making Juwan Jennings money on a weekly basis, and that was like right there, like what it was, like because he was
good enough to take the money that he's giving you, but he's handing out free cash,
and he was so slow on that play. And still nobody was 15, 20 yards in, and it's just unbelievable. But yes, I do want to, say that I do believe that obviously when all of these guys come back and everything is going to line itself into, which is why the 49ers most likely feel as optimistic as they do. Still haven't played our best football. Our offense is still a tick away. We're gonna get George Kittle back. This isn't just a starting tight end. This is the guy, right? You eventually want to integrate DeMarcus Robinson. We'll see some of that this week. Maybe Juwan Jennings.
Rob. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
I feel like that's necessary for this week.
Right. Juwan Jennings, we'll get him integrated. We're seeing Ricky Pearsall, take off on the runway, right? Maybe anything Brandon Ayuk gives you this season is found money. That's it. Like it's all found money, right?
Very expensive found money.
Yeah. Well,
don't ask payroll if they agree it's found money. But from a football sense, yes.
Yeah. No, I mean if you close your eyes and don't look at the number, then it's not there physically. 100%. So don't even I just don't look up.
It doesn't matter what these guys get paid. They're put in a position to succeed or fail. It doesn't matter. Now sometimes they're put in a position because of how much they're paid, but like it does not matter how much you get paid. Was Brock Purdy any more or less of a quarterback in 2023? No, he got MVP votes. Doesn't matter how much he got paid. I mean, it mattered when his negotiation came up, but it didn't matter then. Every game, they don't put the payrolls out there and say, batter it out. They do players. And I don't care how much you're paid. I care how much you play and how well you play. So they offensively, they have a shot to take it to levels, right? Which is why you can put up with some of the nonsense because you're just like, we're figuring it out. Mac Jones, they're figuring it out. But they might have already played their best defense.
Maybe. I hope not. I don't think they believe that. And Tony, thank you for
they shouldn't believe it.
Tony, thank you for always remembering the gang. Hashtag OnlyShans. Yeah, like all right. So while I think they don't think that, but it is a possibility. That is something that you probably have to entertain, especially with the loss of Bosa. You do have to entertain
because of the loss of Bosa.
Yeah. I mean, you have to entertain that, but I don't think they think that based on Mike Hell's growing before your eyes. You're seeing Alfred Collins, right? Like, and theoretically, I know this isn't going to knock 49ers fans' socks off, but, Kevin Givens can be back in the rotation. That'll be,
Oh,
that's just
damn.
good.
Kevin Givens coming.
And
Malik,
Malik
he's another body. He's another good
yeah,
body. And Malik
Malik
Mustafa's a huge one.
Mustafa, right? Malik Mustafa is going to return. So there is this sense of like, yes, guys, this sucks. We lost Nick Bosa, but also we have this guy who's really good at designing things and week to week changing his game plan, which is very important because I do believe that that's more the bedrock of a better coordinator, is somebody who isn't just stuck in his ways every single week and says, listen, this personnel can give us problems in this way. This is how I'm going to stop them this week. Next week, we'll deal with it this way. And that's what Robert Saleh has. So I there is maybe a world where the 49ers have played their best defense, but I don't think they think that based on the development of the rookies and who else could be coming, in the form of Malik Mustafa. Now, the interesting portion of this is, does Jason Pinnock come off the field for him? Does Marcus Siegel stay on the field, when Mustafa comes back? But they still have time to figure out, who's who.
Of contention.
No, so it's going to be Siegel then. It'll be Siegel.
It's going to be Siegel and Mustafa.
Siegel and Mustafa, yeah, that's fine. And you know what else too? And I like the big nickel thing with Jair Brown. I like it. I like it. I think again the one skill set that doesn't erode is when he's able to just play downhill and just get, that, like, don't take the thinking out of it. Keep him close to the line and have him just be another run defender. That's a skill set that doesn't erode. And again, putting people in position to succeed. So you don't have him in coverage. You don't have him thinking. You just have him triggering and firing downhill as a big nickel. And, sometimes if he has to get out there and cover, it'll be on a one-on-one thing. He's not thinking about like, hey, this is what's coming or what I have to do. This is my man. I'm going to go with him and that's it. And I'm going to do my best. And I do like that as well too. Again, just because a guy's struggling and you can't use him in certain ways doesn't mean that he doesn't have value. And again, Robert Saleh's seeing that, and that's another reason why I'm excited about the defense.
Listen, I don't know if I'd like to pin the entire success of the 49ers defense moving forward to Jair Brown, but I'm with you. I mean,
no, I wouldn't say that.
I know, but like that role is very good for him. And it's very good for the 49ers because now they don't have to play as much base. Though I will say they played a lot of base in the last game.
Gifford, I saw Gifford a lot.
I don't think they knew what. I think they were trying stuff out in the first half. I think they were winging it a little bit.
Did you? All right. Did you notice this also on the tape? Like what I saw was like Gifford's very animated when he's out there. Like he's like like pointing and like yelling, and I'm like I would love to be like just listening. Like what are you saying? Like what are you yelling at? And does everybody look at you like, all right, dude, calm down, like settle down.
No, that's what he's about. I mean, that's why they brought him in. They needed somebody to coordinate the special teams on the field. That's going really poorly for
really well.
I'm starting to think that might be like their injury problem. They can never be.
You know what the special teams is like it's like the sinking ship. You plug up the hole with the kicker. Yeah. But now your punt returner is shit for brains and fields a punt right there.
Okay.
You don't like it? You're going to defend Sky Moore?
I'm going to defend Sky Moore there.
That
is a 50-50 call in that spot. He was at the 6-yard line. Mm-hmm. Now, the rule is never inside the 5. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's on the 6. Okay. So now he's got to calculate that out. And you're saying, oh, that's too close, but it's the 5, not the 6. You say, oh, never inside the 10. That is antiquated thinking. That doesn't exist. I
don't think it was inside the 10. It was the 5. Yeah.
Well, no. I'm saying like some people say never inside the 10. Like that's college.
I don't think about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because college punters are just booting it. But they're going up against one of the better punters in the NFL, somebody who can drop it on a spot and make it stick there. So he's at the 6. He's got 2 gunners in his grill. Okay. And he's on the 6. So that's a 50-50 call. I can let this bounce. And now your first 2 plays of the next series are trying to get away from the goal line, which it eventually was there anyway, but like that's neither here nor there. That's not his. He can't see that. Or I catch this, I take the 6, and now we can at least run our offense from the jump because I'm not on the 5. I'm not inside the 5. And this punt, the way that I'm seeing it come down, and I didn't ask him about this, probably too late now. That's bad reporting by me. But I would guess, this is my defense of him, not having talked to him about this because bad reporter. I imagine that the way that he saw that punt coming down, he thought, oh boy, that's gonna die. Like that ball is going to get pinned at the 1. That's going to bounce up once and they're going to be standing right there because I got 2 gunners in my face. And if I move out of the way, now they're both playing that ball. it's a 50-50 call. I'm not saying he made the right decision, but I'm not telling you he made the wrong decision either there. And you can tell because the next punt that they had, it was inside the 5 and he let it go.
Mhm.
So,
So I want to ask you this.
It's all, they keep moving the goalposts
Uh-huh.
on when you should. If it doesn't feel like it worked out or if just it looks a little bit wrong, then it's, oh, you never do it inside the 10. That's what I heard. Never do it inside the 10. It's like, no, not in the NFL level. It's inside the 5, and he was at the 6. So I there's some actual theory and scheme to this stuff. And again, I'm not telling you that he made the right decision, but to just say that he made the wrong decision, I don't think takes into account the actual circumstances in play. So I thought Sky Moore had a great game as a punt returner. I think he's a really good punt returner.
So, yeah, all right. So I want to ask you this, and this is, I know this went from like, hey, I've got 45 minutes to like we're going on an hour 20.
No, you don't bring Sky Moore punt talk to me and not expect.
Oh, listen, I didn't realize that was such a hot button thing, man. I thought we were just gonna.
I read the comment section on stuff.
No, that's true. No,
and I'm not trying to. I mean, it certainly comes across because of my tone of voice.
I think. Well, and the other thing too, Dieter, is what the result was on the safety. Like, if there was no safety, nobody's talking about anything.
Correct. But that's not his responsibility. Right. And in fact, he gave them a better shot, I would imagine, he thought in the moment of avoiding that exact circumstance.
Right. So can I ask you, the NFL Pro, they do the special teams tape too? Like, you get to watch that? Yeah, no, you don't get that with the drive. It's just offense, defense. Like, I don't watch any of the special teams stuff because it's not there. So
neither does Kyle.
That's a whole other. You know what's hilarious is different coordinator. Yeah, we fixed it. No, you didn't. Like, no, you didn't. Like, we're literally just back to asking the 49ers to beat.
There is part of this where it's like, dude, you have a stars and scrubs roster. Like, what's making up your special teams? It's a bunch of scrubs. Like, what does Saran Neal do?
Yeah.
What is it you'd say you do here, sir?
Special teams ace. Him and Luke Gifford. I
mean, Gifford's good on special teams. I can see that. But like, I'm waiting for Saran Neal to do anything. By the way, you know, for all the knocks we've had on Luter, maybe this is the biggest special teams issue. Like, he will probably, if he has to play corner, he won't be a gunner, I imagine.
Nope.
And he's been a good gunner.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
this is the kind of deep level analysis that you can't get from Jason because he doesn't watch this stuff.
I don't watch the tape, man. I admittedly, and also, you know, and Darrell Luter on special teams is a hot button issue for 49ers fans because we all just see the unfortunate play that I'm not going to bring.
No. He's had that bet, but like, and that's why I pay close attention to when I think he's been good this year as a gunner.
All right, this is good, man. Listen, at least one of us watched the tape and is not a bozo, so that's good. I appreciate that.
I don't know about the bozo part because what kind of I think you inherently have to be a bozo to be watching special teams tape. I have responsibilities that I'm eschewing with my family and friends, so that I can use my itty bitty remote to watch special teams back and forth.
You know, and you know, the parenting thing is, you know, my daughter wants to watch the TV, so I got to go break out my monitor so I could watch the tape, and you know, it is what it is. But
don't even start me on that one.
Yeah, I know. Dieter, man, I'm gonna get out of here because I got to get to Brooklyn. I'm about to go see No Worries, and I want to make sure I get a good spot because you know, it's general admission, and you know, I don't want to have to be elbowing a bunch of Brooklyn
I'm holding you up.
Listen, Dieter, thank you, bro, as usual, man. Everyone loves the segment, you know, that we're doing, man, and I appreciate you. And I know you've been a little bit busy, but I'm always appreciative of your time, dude, and always love the insight that you bring, man. I'm always grateful for any time that you can always offer.
I enjoyed this more than you did, so this was good.
Hey, listen, I'm glad that you did, you know, honestly, because I'm sure that there's times when, like, I'm asking someone to be on the show and they're like, shit, this guy, man. Like,
those guys are idiots. You're easy to talk to. This is fun.
I appreciate that.
Or talk at, depending on your inference on what I just did.
Honestly, this, you know, people just don't say nice things to me on the internet. To have somebody say one thing nice to me is appreciative.
Jason, I've done a lot of podcasts. But I keep coming back, buddy. You think that's because I have low self-esteem? That's true. But yeah.
No, but you know what else too? I have to take your advice and I have to do less Twitter. Less.
I don't know what it is that happened in our society where the responsibility for protecting yourself from terrible things fell upon the consumer, but that's the case. I have the tools. Text me.
Dieter, tell everybody where they can find your stuff as well too, man, and what else you got going on before we get out of here.
Dieter and Hutch podcast. On YouTube. You're already on YouTube. You can just look at the Dieter and Hutch podcast and subscribe and become an official sicko if you want our really deep cuts where we talk about special teams and stuff like that. We'll be live after the game on Sunday, along with roughly, let me check my notes here, 4,000 other people. So hopefully you join us for that for even a minute or two.
Yeah, the instant reaction crew, and it's just like, how does everybody consume all that? But hey, listen, I'm grateful for anybody who watches my instant reactions.
No,
it just means that you have your choice of many great people who have so much good insight and
so many
our
instant reactions.
Yeah, everybody's all instant. But
golden age of opinion.
I will say this too. When you watch Dieter and Hutch and when you go to their channel, a lot of the times the way that the things are inclusive is they have members only chats. And I really, really like that. And that's your incentive to go on there because they also have the film breakdowns and everything as well too. Yep. You're getting bang for your buck when you join the channel and everything as well too. So I implore you guys to do that as well because, I'm going to become a member, but I did want to just like say, hey, Dieter, it's nice to see you, and I was just like, damn it, I'm not, it's
not
members
on
only.
Sunday, baby. Members only on Sunday. We keep
up,
riffraff out.
Yep, I mean that's it.
But you see the comment section, and it's not to say that it's not great. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
So luckily, we're so shitty at this that there's not enough members to where we can't keep track of it. So help us change that.
And one other thing too that I learned about how YouTube and the algorithm works, if your chat is very toxic, right? And even if it's just people going back and forth, you get buried in the algorithm, and YouTube doesn't promote your channel as much as if it's a healthy chat, which is why moderators have to be in there. If somebody's being abusive to somebody else, or if they're just being over, like that's how you can get your channel pushed down. So like that's another thing, right? Like that's another way to keep that.
We work really hard to make sure that it is it's highbrow. I mean, as highbrow as me and Jake can be, but like that the chat and all the comments and stuff, like it's not lowest common denominator. It's not fire Kyle or any of this stuff. Like we're actually having a conversation, and like that was the thing I was most worried about when we started to really invest in this time wise, and that's the thing I've been happiest about. Like we actually have. Like we know each other. We know what the jokes are there. We can all poke fun at each other a little bit in good nature. Maybe more at me than others, but that's neither here nor there. Like I do think we got a pretty good community going there. And if that sounds, if anything that I said sounds like, oh, I'd like more of that, we got a good community. You can join it, and looking forward to seeing you there.
Hell yeah. So shout out to all you guys, man. Thank you guys. If on the way out, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you guys, I'll announce it one more time. We're doing the giveaway with Sheed from Warriors World. You subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're following Warriors World on Twitter. They're giving away one of those Freddy Wooger shirts. Oh my God, those Freddy Wooger shirts are too fire. Two shirts and a hoodie we're giving away, so make sure you guys check that out on Twitter. But thank you again, Dieter. Appreciate you, man. And guys, enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up with you guys on Sunday. So see you later.